Hello, I'm Professor Chuck Stowe, and I'm delighted that you're watching this video, PowerPoint, on taking notes for business and college courses. You're going to get a different approach on taking notes that I hope will help you convert class time to learning time. Why do we take notes in life? Well, we take notes to capture a record of major ideas in chronological order that helps us heighten our attention, our listening, but that also will help us to be able to conduct or recreate the lecture or conversation, whether for a lawsuit, whether for counseling, or whether to take an order for business. So taking notes is not just a college activity. It's a skill set that you're going to find extremely important as you progress through your career. The standard for really good notes is whether you can take and hand those papers to a third person and have them able to recreate the definitions, concepts, analysis, and stories of why this material is important to a different audience. That's the standard. Can someone read this, follow it, and give a presentation? You know, when PowerPoints are used in class lectures, I notice these types of attitudes. You know, people just turn off and they don't take any notes and they become disengaged and bored with the lecture. I do use PowerPoints, though, occasionally to structure my talk and to sort of focus your attention on some key ideas. But my point to this slide, why is it here? The purpose of this slide is to suggest that even when you have PowerPoints, it's still extremely important to take effective notes. Major problems I've observed with typical notes are these. People either take too few or none at all, or they try to take dictation and eventually their hand gets limp and they can't keep up. So what I'm going to try to do in this is give you some techniques as to how to listen effectively and to capture what's really important to capture in a college lecture. And the same would be true of taking notes of a conversation in a business setting. Now, without PowerPoints, I want you to use this strategy. There are really three issues, three informational levels, and our brain is more comfortable when it can categorize what it's listening to into these categories. Now, remember I asked you to buy some colored pens? Well, this is how you use them. For vocabulary, if a professor or myself is saying, this is a term, I want you to learn this term, then I want you to use a certain color. What you'll do is you'll write down the term itself. Now, here's what's really weird advice for you. I don't want you to copy the definition. I don't want you to say, oh, could you slow down? I need to copy down the definition. Why? It's already in your textbook. There's an index and a glossary. No. Instead, what I want you to do is I want you to write the term only and then listen. I want you to capture why I have chosen to talk about that term. That's what I want you to copy by the term, not the definition, the why. Why is it important? Okay, next category is concepts. Now, think of a recipe. A recipe to cook something is a concept, if you will. Why is it a concept? Well, it's a concept because it involves a series of steps or elements. They got to be done or considered in a certain order. For example, a mathematical formula is a concept. You have to understand when the concept is applied. You're going to take statistics. When do you use that particular statistical methodology to solve a problem? Now, the other is storytelling. And many of you are going to make the most profound mistake ever. And that is, you hear the story, you say, oh, the professor's just filling in time and he's, wasting our time. No, no, no. Understand, when I tell a story, it illustrates a lesson. And if you think about it, the most effective teaching of all mankind has always been through telling stories. Our brains love stories, and we remember them. So I want you, if I tell you, okay, I'm going to tell you a story, you're going to put EX in a circle around the EX to the left of the red margin, because I want you to be able to look down your notes and see exactly where the definitions, where the concepts are, where the stories are. Now, I'm going to start off the lectures with giving you the key words, and I want you to listen. Okay, let's try this. On a piece of paper now, write down EX to the left of the red margin, and copy these three words. Mother, child, stove. That's all you have to do. Now I'm going to tell you the story. Mother's cooking away. The child comes up and says, Mom, what you doing? Oh, I'm cooking. It's a hot stove, though. Don't touch it. What does the child do? Ah! Now, I told a story. What's the point or lesson of that story? Some would say, well, stoves are hot. Yeah, okay, that's not bad. But the real lesson of the story is what? Obey mother. That's the so what to the stories. So I want you to put SW, obey mother. Now you're going to remember this story for the whole course because it's so simple. It's easy. And you remember the point I'm making. What the mistake is made is often people will put the key words and they won't put SW and then a couple of words that summarize the point of the story. Don't do that. You want to be able to repeat the story to somebody else and tell them why it's important. Finally, in college, the most important level of learning is we try to get you to the analytical level or the analysis. What's an analysis? It's the process of solving a problem. It's diagnosing and applying the right concept to get to resolution. And I've given you examples here. If you want some other examples, hey, tell me what course you're taking. I'll tell you what the analytical goal is of that course. How about that? Now, I do use PowerPoints occasionally. I do not design them as exam study sheets. And I never make the publisher's PowerPoints available because all they are, 99% of the time, is pictures, photos of the page of the text itself blown into a PowerPoint format. Not helpful. I use mine to structure my lectures, and your goal is to be able to write down in your notes why is each slide up there. What is the point of each slide? What's the value of the slide and the concepts contained? If you happen to bring one to class that you've downloaded, I still want you to take notes. For each title slide, numbered slide, and I try to number mine now. I haven't done that in the past, so I'm sorry, some won't have numbers. But my new ones, my 2013s, all have numbers on them, I think. Your goal is to answer the question, why was the PowerPoint provided, number one, and number two, to capture every story I tell, because I don't put the stories on the PowerPoints. Only the definition, a key definition, a concept, or whatever. So, I suggest you don't write on the PowerPoint slide itself. You just use your regular lined paper and go through it, looking at the paper on one side, your notes on the other. But again, that's up to you. If you don't have a copy, then simply use numbers, but put the number to the left of that red margin and double circle them. That way, when you look at it, you know that refers to a slide. Okay? Do be careful to capture every story and example I give. Again, I will coach you in the early part of the course by saying, EX in a circle, here's the key words. Boom, boom, you get them down. And then the SW, so what? Why did I tell the story? What's the lesson? If you can't figure it out, do not be shy. Just raise your hand, and I'm happy to tell you the so what to the story, because every story is making a point. Some don'ts. Here's some don'ts. I required that you buy 3 colored pens. Now you know why. Don't forget to download the PowerPoints and put them in your class notes for the first day that they're used, because I think it's helpful to have them there. Even if they're not in color, doesn't matter. And I would do the version where you have 3 slides on a page and then you have note-taking room there. That's a good way too, if you don't want to, if you want it all on the same page. Well, I hope this helps. I hope this focuses your attention on why it's so important to have the note-taking skill, because in college and in the real business world, note-taking is a critically important skill to have. All these, you'll notice, are subject to copyright. You do have my permission to duplicate them, one set, to put into your binder. And by the way, I'm really hoping that you're going to find this binder to be an incredibly valuable tool. I want you to download the PowerPoints. I want you to download the assignments. I want you to take everything off of that blackboard and put it into your binder, because that binder you may one day find to be very valuable at your workplace. Thanks again for watching this video PowerPoint. If you have questions, feel free to email me or raise them in class. My goal again is to help you be extremely effective both in learning, increasing your learning productivity, and in your career. Thank you.